It's a whole nother level when you're talking about the amount of birds that's actually in this area. And when they come out, oh Lord, boy, do they blacken the sky.
Here they come, here they come.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting.
Hello and welcome again to Ducks Unlimited TV. I'm Ashley Ward. In this episode, Doug Larson meets up with duck calling phenom Slayton Guerin and some of his buddies from Tennessee for a late season adventure in Canada. We'll also learn why the prairie pothole region in Canada and the U.S. is so important for waterfowl and how Ducks Unlimited and its partners are working to save it. Right now on Ducks Unlimited TV.
It's been very popular in U.S. magazines to do sort of a top 10 list of things you should do in waterfowling, and always, hunting the prairie pothole region is one of them. These people that go to Europe to buy a European motor car from the factory, well, when you come to Canada, you're going to the factory. This is the duck factory. You are going to where the original equipment is born, hatched, raised. That's the way the area acts. I mean, you cannot believe the birds that are here on a bad day. And on a good day, anywhere in Canada can take your breath away. The ducks, the geese, the big sky, the sights you'll see, it's just amazing. And it's important when you come here, if you do it yourself, to really have your stuff together. And if you come here with an outfitter, you want to use an outfitter who has his stuff together. And I met Matt from Ranchland Outfitters and immediately knew these guys were first class. Big giant trailer full of first quality decoys. When they say we're going to leave at 5 a.m., they're ready to go with coffee on at 5 a.m. And that's an important part of the hunt, is to make sure that things go as scheduled, that you're in the field on time. And you'd always like to be in the field with your hands in your pockets, waiting around, having everything done and set up, than scrambling and throwing decoys on the ground and hustling into your blind. So Matt and his crew at Ranchland have done a first-class job.
Man, I'm thinking it's gonna be fantastic. Got a brisk wind this morning, sun's starting to rise not too long for shooting time. Doing the little finishing touches, got the blinds brushed up. We ain't too far to let this action start on this trip.
This is a nice looking spread though, huh?
Oh yeah. We let them ducks swing a little wide, hit them hard on the corners, start in with some aggressive feed, end up with some light licks and soft quacks.
Tag 'em. Good job, fellas. Pretty good. Good start.
Here they come, Slayton. Hurry up. Tag 'em. They peeled out.
I saw me do it, I saw it, I'm like, gosh.
Wasn't quite right. What we got is we're about 95%. The decoys look good, but we just can't get these birds to finish. These birds weren't flaring. They were just sliding on their way someplace else.
At that situation, I'm a guy, try to go all in and try everything until something sticks. So, we even rebrushed the blinds twice and moved decoys around, tried every type of calling technique we knew.
Tag 'em.
So after repositioning the decoys, maybe touching up on our brush job that we missed a little bit in the morning hours in the dark, we actually did happen to salvage a few extra groups that day.
The ducks came as fast as we could really shoot them and collect them and get back in the blinds, and we wouldn't have much of a wait.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting. Mossy Oak Shadow Grass Blades, the official camo of Ducks Unlimited, and Ducks Unlimited's Rescue Our Wetlands campaign, banding together for waterfowl.
I was really pleased to hear that we had an Alberta trip scheduled, because Alberta's been a really special place to me over the years. I've been here many times and it didn't disappoint. Another big line out front, good line coming out front. It's a good bunch of geese here. Heads up!
What's that?
That was more better.
That's what we're after, guys.
This area is well known for good populations of small Canada geese as well as the big Canada geese early in the season. Great mallard flights through this area. The migration, it really starts in late August in the prairies. A lot of the blue-winged teal, of course, move south very early in September. Right now we're at more or less the tail end of migration. What we're seeing mainly is Canada geese, pintails, and mallards.
Howdy.
In Prairie Canada, about 90% of the land is under private ownership. Most of that's agricultural ownership. It's a very, very critical part of the Canadian economy. Farmers are trying to make a living off their land base. Wetlands often get in the way. Understand why wetland loss is occurring, but that is probably our biggest problem with waterfowl populations in Prairie Canada. We have to find ways to work with those farmers to conserve those wetlands.
This could square up here.
So after repositioning the decoys, maybe touching up on our brush job that we missed a little bit in the morning hours in the dark, we actually did happen to salvage a few extra groups that day. It makes somewhat of a great hunt, but in the end, it was still good smiles.
So we got things picked up and headed out for the afternoon.
And we've got a really nice wind. Nice field with lots of bird sign in it, been lots of feathers. They've been in here pretty good. So we're again optimistic, but we got to unpack this truck full of decoys and get her going.
We could tell as soon as we pulled in the field, Garrison, the ducks was already ready to get up off the water and ready to eat us up.
There was a big flock of ducks just came right in this field while I was trying to talk. And I got all freaked out.
Certainly yesterday, our morning was slower, and when we got into the afternoon hunt, it was almost chaotic.
No, and I completely agree with what they say is, farm the best and protect the rest is sort of the moniker, certainly in a place like Alberta.
And we're starting to see that more with the progressive farmers across the prairies.
Hey, don't move.
That was an amazing flock of birds, just mixed mallards and pintails together. I mean, that shows you, what happens in this part of the world. All of a sudden, it happens. Well, we better get hunkered down and hope we can do that again.
The ducks came as fast as we could really shoot them and collect them and get back in the blinds, and we wouldn't have much of a wait.
The Great Plains of North America were once the largest expanse of grasslands in the world. At the core of the Great Plains is an area known as the Prairie Pothole region. It's the continent's most important area for nesting ducks. The millions of shallow pothole wetlands in this region are rich in plant and aquatic life, and they support globally significant populations of breeding waterfowl. Because of this, the Prairie Pothole region is the #1 priority area for Ducks Unlimited. But the prairies need our help. On a localized basis, between 50 and 90% of the original pothole wetlands have been lost or severely degraded. And in some areas, as much as 70% of the grassland habitats are gone. In both the U.S. and Canada, Ducks Unlimited is fighting to save the prairie pothole region, restoring habitats that have been lost and protecting those that remain. But we can't do it without you. Visit ducks.org today to find out how you can help.
DU Insights is brought to you by Mossy Oak Properties. Find your favorite place at mossyoakproperties.com. DU TV is powered by Black Cloud Ammunition. Drop ducks like rain. Mossy Oak Properties, America's land specialist. Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. And Mossy Oak Bottomland, the official timber pattern of Ducks Unlimited.
I didn't realize this before we came, but it was really interesting to understand the friendship between Slayton and Matt.
I met Slayton about 10 or 12 years ago through a mutual friend of ours. We just got to be big buddies. We got a lot in common. We both like duck calling, you know, we just both like waterfowl hunting. Within
Minutes, we'd fallen into a group and, you know, had this gang and sort of a band of brothers right away experience.
Beaver and the boys. They're like, dang, they got a clique up there, don't they? Is that a band? Brad and Brent's actually hunting partners of Matt. You know, they're in his lease and hunt with him a big part of duck season. So I've grown a relationship with them over the years as well. To be able to share this moment up here in Canada, an opportunity, I mean, it was just hand over fist. I mean, everybody was excited.
Now, Slayton, on the other hand, is a different story.
My roommate. My best friend, Doug.
He's a wonderful, wonderful young man. And Slayton, I mean, he can blow a duck and goose call, and he's an energetic guy. If a bird sails through the decoys, Slayton's the first one to have the doors open and run him down. You know, if you've got big, high flocks of big ducks, it helps to have a championship caller in the blind, along with some of us who are not quite as good.
So he and I hit it off from our first handshake. I mean, the best friend, Doug, we're just doing just great.
And what a fun guy to hunt with, and what a fun guy to be in a spread with.
So when I was young, I grew up in a small town of Gleason, Tennessee, and there was a little tree line across the road from my house, and that's where I squirrel hunted with my pellet gun on Saturdays. And the guys going to the local coffee shop generally stop. Slayton, how many squirrels you got this morning? One day the guys told me, come down here and talk to us when you get done. So I rode down the road on my bicycle and talked to the guys at the coffee shop by Keith and Carrie Arnold. And they're like, man, we're going to Stuttgart on Friday. And I'm like, what is Stuttgart? Man, that's, you know, the World Championship Duck Calling Contest and the Wings on the Prairie Festival. And I'm like, I'd love to do that. So we'll go home and ask your mom if you can go. I was pedaling that 10-speed hard to get home. Asked my mom if she'd give me a little bit of spending money to ride with the Stuttgart with Keith and Carrie that Friday. They convinced me to get into Junior Worlds. And
take them.
From day one, I knew that that was something I wanted to do. And if you ever experience Stuttgart and you see a guy win a world championship holding that trophy over his head, you're like, gosh, if I could do that one time in my life. And it's like a turning point in your life, you know?
I'm a very, very passionate duck hunter, and that comes from my dad, my hero. My dad started taking me duck hunting when I was 4 years old, and I can remember that hunt till this day. I mean, I can remember it just, I mean, play by play. I mean, it struck something right then. I was basically ruined.
Yo!
Good shot.
Good shot.
Goose hunting, family, shoot, I shouldn't say that. I should say family first or God first, you know. You know, this is just, it's just me. That's what I like to do.
That was better.
That worked. What a great, great afternoon again in Alberta, which continues to be one of my favorite places. I don't know what to tell you about the hunting this morning other than to say if there was a way to bottle it and sell it, I would do it. I wish that everyone who valued duck and goose hunting could have been in that spread this morning, because it was not only a great hunting experience, but it was truly one of the greatest shows I can ever remember seeing.
Right in the hole. Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
With the wind now, they are trying real hard to get into the hole.
Like what happened this morning with all them ducks and geese cutting wind up above us, responding to a call. If that don't get your blood boiling, you better go check your pulse, because something may be wrong with you.
DUTV is brought to you by Native Nurseries, hand-selected, hand-grown plants for wildlife. Higdon Outdoors, quality, customer service, innovation. That's Higdon. Biologic, scientifically proven wildlife products. Intelligent firearms storage made by Secure It provides closed captioning for DUTV. The gun storage game will never be the same.
Changing chokes isn't the only way to change your pattern. You can do it by changing shells too. Load different shells for different purposes. Typically, smaller shot, higher velocity will give you a bigger pattern. Bigger shot, slower velocity will tighten up. With Black Cloud, you can use Black Cloud close range, which is made of 100% of those ringed flight stopper pellets and is designed to open up a lot more quickly. And for your second and third shot, you can shoot a standard Black Cloud or even a standard Black Cloud at a bigger size. And then you get that first shot at the duck, it's 25 yards, and so often, especially when the wind is blowing there, all of a sudden they're at 35 and 40, and you want to be able to take that second shot with a tighter choke. That's the way you do it.
Duck Gun is presented by Black Cloud Ammunition. Drop ducks like rain.
Look at them three up top, knocking it out.
As I said, I've been to Canada many times and to Alberta a number of times as well, and one thing I can't overemphasize is the incredible grace of the Canadian people. And for example, I would tell you that if you're going to be out driving around the gravel roads, scouting for ducks and geese, allow yourself enough time, because there will be times when you can't get out of the kitchen.
Take them.
Mr. Larry Young, the landowner, had told our scouts last night that he would like to go hunting with us, and really fun to hunt with, just a salt of the earth type guy, and I really enjoyed getting to meet him, getting to hunt with him.
I think he had an eye-opening morning. I think he didn't realize the level to which an outfitting company that really does it right puts on such a great hunt.
Good shot on the last goose right there, man.
Right here, Mr. Pat, cut him.
That was one hell of a show.
Old trusty Rusty, boys. In Canada, we have two very critical areas for continental waterfowl population. We're sitting in the prairie pothole region. From here, about 60 to 80 miles north, we'll get into the boreal forest. The wet-dry cycle on the prairies really drives duck populations. It seems every 20, 30 years there's a drought, and then there's wet period. So yesterday we were second guessing ourselves, the birds weren't coming. Today there's people out walking around on the decoys, the birds are locking in. We're hiding, finishing them off. Just got to be where the birds want to be.
Yeah, we're seeing the direct effects of great scouting. The guys at Ranchland have done their homework. I mean, we are right absolutely on the spot.
We've been very fortunate for the last 20-some years to have had very wet conditions on the prairies. When the prairies go through that dry cycle I've talked about, the boreal forest is really the continental buffer for waterfowl population. The birds that would have bred on the prairies move up to the boreal forest in those years. In these wet years we've seen the cost of repairing roads and infrastructure go up due to the flooding that happens due to wetland drainage. We need to find ways to compensate farmers for the value of those wetlands that they see as getting in the way of their bottom line.
Look at this pile up above us. Look at that. Would you look at that bunch? Just absolutely as big a wad as I could ever remember.
Take them!
A good shot. What a cutting cat.
I'm tired of getting up, feel like a jack in the box.
We're doing extensive research into the economic value of the ecological goods and services wetlands provide. That is, they provide flood control. Those wetlands are no longer on the landscape. Water runs down the watercourse, blows out culverts, blows out roads. If we keep more of those wetlands intact, we can save tax dollars that are going into infrastructure repair.
Certainly when you come to Canada, you understand why we have the ducks we have in North America, and both Ducks Unlimited and Ducks Unlimited Canada have been very, very important drivers of the habitat initiatives that have kept the ducks in the air, kept the water on the ground up here, and they'll continue to do that for the future.
Special thanks, as usual, to Pat Kehoe of DU Canada for his help in making our time in Canada fun and productive. Thanks for watching and for supporting waterfowl through the efforts of Ducks Unlimited. Please visit us anytime at ducks.org.